And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Saturday, March 15th, 2025. And if you'd like additional weather information on top of what I provide in this YouTube video, you can go to weather.gov. That is the National Weather Service's online presence. It'll bring you to a website with a map of the continental U.S., Hawaii and Alaska to the lower left, and tabs for the territories. And if you point and click anywhere on this map, it'll give you a very detailed forecast with any relevant watches, warnings, or advisories for any place in the nation. And a quick check of the weather map this Saturday afternoon of utmost importance. A tornado outbreak is currently underway across portions of the Tennessee Valley and deep south, including Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama. Already several reports of tornadoes today with damage. Last night, areas of Missouri and Arkansas suffered extensive damage and at least 15 fatalities. And these storms will continue working their way eastward as we go through this Saturday night. Here in Alaska, we've picked up some locally heavy snow across the far southern panhandle around Ketchikan, Metlakatla. And that'll continue tonight into early Sunday morning. An area of low pressure down in the North Pacific and remnant moisture there along the Gulf will push another round of rain and snow along the western Gulf into south central Monday evening into the day on Tuesday. There could be some heavier snow along the western arm of the Alaska Range and especially the west side of the Susitna Valley as you get that upslope flow over that higher terrain. And then in the week ahead, even though we're not really going to see really mild temperatures, at least slightly cooler than normal, the spring equinox arrives Thursday, early Thursday on March 20th at 1:01 a.m. Alaska Daylight Time. Quick check of some of the FAA webcams across the state. Point Lay still seeing some light blowing, drifting snow. Not quite as windy as the past couple of days. Temperature, though, only 6 below at mid-afternoon. Anatuvik Pass enjoying brilliant, bright blue, clear skies. Temperature 6 below. Anatuvik Pass had the state's low temperature this morning at 22 below. And then Skwentna, there in the western Susitna Valley, partly sunny. And this area may be picking up additional snowfall, especially as we head into Monday evening and on Tuesday, as that next system will pull some moisture back up along that area of the Alaska Range. And then in the far south of the Panhandle, we have, and that should say, actually not Juneau, that's Ketchikan, wet snow and fog, 34 degrees. There's been reports as much as one of the weather observers we have there who's down there around Metlakatla reported as much as 8-9 inches of wet snow. So this winter storm warning is in effect until 6 a.m. Sunday morning and includes Ketchikan, Metlakatla, and areas toward Hyder. Certainly some locally heavier snow as this weak low pressure crosses Haida Gwaii, but there's enough wraparound moisture and cold air to produce some locally heavier snow. Also potential for some accumulating snow as we go through Sunday into Sunday night as this next little wave of low pressure just kind of sits off of outside of Prince William Sound, but it will be feeding moisture up along the northeastern Gulf Coast, so some accumulating snow likely there. Northeastern Gulf Coast up into Yakutat. So here's the winter storm warning for the area of Ketchikan, Metlakatla, so Annette Island on over toward Hyder. Locally, a few areas could pick up as much as perhaps 8 to 10 inches of wet, heavy snow, and the bulk of that coming today, tonight, before tapering off early on Sunday morning. And another thing I want to reemphasize is this past week, the various fire weather forecasting seasonal outlooks are thinking that perhaps because of the lack of snow here in the southern parts of the state, that may make the fire season a little bit early, and as a result, any small-scale or large-scale burn permits are required on all state, municipal, and private lands in the Division of Forestry and Fire Protection coastal regions here across the state. That starts on St. Patrick's Day, Monday, March 17th, so keep that in mind. If you live in any of these areas, including all of the Panhandle, Anchorage Bowl, any type of burning requires a permit because of the concern about the lack of snow cover due to a milder winter temperatures. And then the spring 2025 river breakup outlook that was issued on Thursday by the River Forecast Center says the potential for spring ice breakup and snowmelt flooding varies significantly across the state. Now, If you get into the interior or north, above average potential exists for the Yukon, Tanana, Koyukuk, and some of the North Slope basins due to the higher than normal snowpack that exists up there. They got a lot of snow, whereas in southern parts of the state we had warmer temperatures, more rain, and at times not as much snow. So below average potential for river break up there on the lower Yukon, the Kuskokwim River basins, and most of south central, again, due to very low snowpack caused by a warmer than normal winter. And a check of the avalanche danger. We have considerable avalanche danger around Turnagain Pass, Moose Pass, as we go through the day today into early Sunday morning. This will be updated early Sunday morning around 7 a.m. But typical this time of year, if you're going to be venturing out into any of the backcountry, be especially careful near those steeper slopes with grades of 25, 30 degrees or more, because those are the areas where the potential for the snow there to slough off and cause an avalanche. Looking at the satellite imagery, there is a low down here south into the North Pacific, well south of Kodiak Island. There's a system, couple little weak lows up here along the British Columbia coast that's actually causing that snow there over the southern part of the Panhandle. And then back behind me there is a low out here entering the southwest bearing with a front extending through the central Aleutians. And the low that later tonight into Sunday morning, there's a series of a few weaker lows will finally be pushing in toward the British Columbia coast. But back here in the Western Gulf, this weak low will spin up off the eastern Kenai coast and kind of sit there during the day on Sunday behind me. This low will continue the energy heading toward the east-southeast, a little weak secondary low developing along this occluded front. And then by the time we get into Sunday afternoon, we have that system continuing to evolve and work its way east-southeastward. And then behind me here, we find kind of this collection of weak low pressure over British Columbia coast that still could keep some snow going, lingering snow showers in far southern parts of the Panhandle. And then here's that weak low over the west-northwest Gulf that'll keep some snow showers going along areas of Prince William Sound, the eastern Kenai, and pushing up toward the northeastern Gulf Coast. On Monday, the energy from the system that was out here in the Bering will be consolidating southeast of the Alaska Peninsula in the North Pacific at this trough extending northward. And so there's going to be a moisture feed as another surge of energy comes northward and then is pulled back to the north and west Monday night and on Tuesday. So this is going to cause some snow and moisture to work its way northwestward across the Alaska Range, so that by the time we get into Tuesday, still have that feature south of Kodiak Island, but a moisture feed that's pulled back and coming inland. So the snow could make it as far west as, say, McGrath or areas up toward the middle Yukon as we head through the day on Tuesday. And then behind me, there's a low out here crossing the western end of the Aleutians with another occluded front, similar to the one we saw just this past late week. So cold temperatures are going to occur tonight. Again, Sunday morning, some lows down around 25 below zero, Anatuvik Pass, Arctic Village. Those will be the cold spots. Sub-zero along the North Slope Arctic coast. Still could be a little blowing, drifting snow along those areas. Even a little colder temperatures down into south central, dipping back into the teens, 7 below there, Gulkana. And even across the Panhandle, generally temperatures should get below freezing with some upper teens across the northern Panhandle, near freezing, say at Metlakatla, but back to the west, even chilly back here, 20 degrees at St. Paul. So the forecast for the mid-month period to have below normal temperatures over the state has verified very nicely. We're not seeing any big spring warm-ups, none of the warm-up type temperatures we had a month ago. Nevertheless, daytime highs stay below zero. North slope along the Arctic coast stays just below freezing. The Matsu Valley, Anchorage Bowl, and maybe back up near 40 there at Craig and Ketchikan. But back out to the west, you could see a 40-degree reading around Dutch Harbor on Alaska. And then more cold temperatures Monday morning, or a few degrees colder there along the Brooks Range, from especially Anatuvik, Atigan passes to Arctic Village, and even some 20 below readings up there, new exit on over toward Kaktovik. Otherwise, we see temperatures even into south central, some teens, and readings even a little below zero here through the upper parts of the Yukon Kuskokwim Basin. Monday afternoon highs still sub-zero, north slope along the Arctic coast. We find daytime highs anywhere from 10 to 15 above through the lower Yukon. half of the river valley there. And as you get up to, getting up, could be as warm as 28 at Talkeetna or Gulkana. And then readings do come up a little bit back into the low to maybe mid 40s, 44 there at Klawock, and then back toward the west, Kodiak City, maybe near 40 degrees for Monday afternoon. So here's the temperature outlook for March 21st through March 25th, so just past the equinox. It's going to stay below normal along the west side of the state, the west coast, Chukchi Sea down into the northern Bering, including St. Lawrence Island. But we find temperatures should average above normal, southeast mainland especially, along south of the Alaska Range and around Prince William Sound up into the northeastern Gulf Coast. We're not looking for big temperature anomalies above normal, but it's an indication that flow would allow for some moisture to work its way up into areas along the Gulf Coast and Panhandle. So as we'd expect, precipitation may average a little above normal, especially out there toward McCarthy, Wrangell, St. Elias Mountains down into the Panhandle as we get through that period March 21st through the 25th. And maybe also a little above normal along areas surrounding Kotzebue Sound and up along the northwest coast of the Chukchi Sea from Point Hope up to Wainwright. And that's the way things are looking for precipitation here. Again, that period, March 21st through the 25th.